I'm going to walk you through how to read a qualification specification, which is critical if you run any regulated courses. Now, first things first, every qualification will have a qualification specification. Now, this is the Level 5 Diploma in Education and Training, and this is a useful document to go through because we can go through it with our learners, and also we can show other teachers how to walk through and determine your assessments and your qualifications based on this document. So there's always a contents page. But first things first, we are going to go through the trainers, assessors, and IQA requirements. And this is critical. This will apply to every qualification, but each qualification is different and they have different requirements. So if you're ever planning on teaching, if you go through the courses that you want to teach, then this will give you an example of what qualifications you'll need to teach your dream set of qualifications. So let's scroll down to the trainer and assessor requirements. So as you can see here, this section here, let's see if I can highlight it. Secure and maintain the venue. Now here are the trainer and assessor requirements. As you can see, you need one trainer or assessor and one IQA who cannot be involved in the qualification. And this will avoid any sort of conflict of interest. So trainers, as we can see here, trainers need to be a teacher or training qualification. It says see qualifications table. And here is the qualifications table. So you will need to have one of these qualifications, which is literally a minimum of a level 5 diploma in education training to be able to teach this. You'll need to have evidence of relevant teaching experience in educational training context. So this could be you teaching this qualification or other similar qualifications, the AET, CET, IQA, and the CAB qualifications. You need to have access to appropriate guidance and support. This could be from your centre, this can be from mentors or other relevant people who can support you through the qualification. And lastly, ongoing participation in related program quality assurance processes. And this is within your centre of ensuring that all trainers, regardless new or experienced, undergo continuous training to improve quality assurance. So this is the teaching qualifications covered. So to teach the level 5 diploma, you need to have a level 5 diploma at least anyway. So it's great for any learners because you should be able to teach this qualification afterwards. Again, if there's any sort of relevant qualification experience you don't have, then you can contact the awarding body and they can confirm this for you as well. Assessors, if you're assessing, you must also hold level 3 assessing competence in the work environment, level 3 certificate in assessing vocational achievement, A1 or D32. So it is advised that you hold the assessor qualification and a teaching qualification. Now, if you were to IQA this qualification, okay, so you cannot be involved in the delivery, you must hold the relevant teaching and assessing requirements and have the teaching experience, which is relevant, and hold a formal IQA qualification. One of the most important elements of this is the structure of the qualification, and this is how you interpret it into devising your own program based on the qualification specification. And what's very important as well, we look at the related units as well. So if we scroll down to the structure, and the structure is how the qualification must be delivered. So it says here that the course contains 4 mandatory units, and here are the 4 mandatory units. This means that we must, in any program, cover these 4 units regardless of what other options or additional options that we include. Okay, so always check for mandatory options. There is no opportunity to sub these out for other ones. Learners must complete all assessments and all units successfully within the registration period to achieve the qualification. Again, the awarding body's requirements will be different to the training provider requirements. Again, if we talk about financial years, turnover of staff, companies may only offer these qualifications for a certain amount of time. Okay, so you just need to be mindful of that. Now, the key thing here is the structure. So, minimum number of credits must be achieved, 120. the number of mandatory credits that must be achieved, 75. So if we go down to the mandatory units, credits, 20, 20, 20, 15, that's the 75 credits that must be achieved. So you can see it here. So we need a total of 120 to get the qualification. So if we deduct the 75 from 120, this leaves 45 credits. So we must achieve 45 optional credits from Group B. So any of these we can put together for the extra 45 credits. So it's up to you how you actually decide what to do or how you build your program. But again, if you look in a bit more detail, a minimum number of 6 credits must be at level 5, okay? So within these 45, 6 of them must be a level 5 unit, okay? So if we look at the level here, so level on this side, scroll all the way down. Here we go, at the bottom here, we got these units are level 5. So we need to have a minimum of 6 credits at unit at level 5, okay? So your qualification must include at least one of these 5 units. So you get to pick and choose which ones, but it must cover 6 credits. And you see the Understanding Managing Behaviors in a Learning Environment covers 6 credits, like the other ones do as well. And that gives you the ability then where you can just pick and mix all the other units to suit your needs, as long as it makes up for the extra 45, okay? So just have a look at it again. Number of credits, 120. 75 are the mandatory units, and 45 must be achieved from optional, including a level 5 unit as well. And if we look as well, teaching practice, as you're aware, is 100 hours in the DET. So it does mean that we have to ensure that our learners cover 100. And one thing that we've kind of not talked about, but it's already covered, is the number of credits must be achieved at level 5, which is 61. Now, if we go to the mandatory units, we got 20 here, which is 40, 55, plus our one of the others, which at the minimum would bring up to 61, and we've got that covered as well. Now, if we look at the recognition of prior learning, so this is the process of recognizing learners who have completed any relevant assessment. So the main qualification to look out for in this one would be the Level 4 certificate in education and training. Now, as you can see here, if you've practiced the Level 4 certificate in education and training, you can transfer 20 hours of practice and 2 hours of observed practice towards the assessment. However, you must ensure for the Level 5 unit developing teaching, learning and assessment, there is no transfer of practice of or observed and assessed hours from previous achieved teaching and training qualifications, but you must be approved by the awarding body prior to implementation. So you need to ensure that you get permission from the awarding body to apply RPL as well. And one thing as well, you can see from the Level 3 award in education and training, nothing can be transferred across as well. So generally speaking, you can adapt your course to be able to meet the qualification requirements unless there are set restrictions from the awarding body. Now, if we look at Unit 3, which is Unit 1 for our DET, it's the theories, principles and models in education training. So they give you assessment criteria, analyze theories, principles and models of learning. Typically speaking, you can create your own assessments to make sure that this learning outcome or this assessment criteria has been met. Okay, so if we were to look at the indicated content, they give you suggestions of things to cover. Now, as we are supposed to be experts and knowledgeable in these subjects, we can kind of use our own recommendations. We can go outside of this as long as we can analyze theories, principles, and models of learning. So you can kind of do the same for each learning outcome. Now, one thing that's really important here is at the bottom of each unit, it will give you any sort of restrictions on how you deliver the course or the qualification. So if we look at the assessment guidance here, this unit is a prerequisite for the unit developing, teaching, learning and assessment, and a range of evidence, or even before we go on to that. So this means we must do this unit before we do the developing, teaching, learning and assessment. So that's actually Unit 1 in the Qual spec. However, because of the way this is structured, we make this Unit 1, so learners must complete this unit before moving on to developing, teaching, learning and assessment. And also suggest a range of assessment evidence can be used for this unit as long as all learning outcomes and assessment criteria are covered and evidence generated can be internally and externally moderated. So it does give you the flexibility to adapt your course to how you see fit, but again, you'll need approval from the awarding body, and they'll give you guidelines on each unit of what you need to do to meet any necessary requirement, or if there's any procedures you must follow or evidence you need to include. So that's a simple way of interpreting any qualification specification of any unit. So again, let's go down to Unit 4, see if there's anything particular. Here we go. So assessment guidance. A range of assessment evidence can be used for this unit as long as all learning outcome assessment criteria are covered and the evidence generated can be internally and externally moderated. And here is another example from the internally assuring the quality of assessment. Now, as you can see here, there is no guidance on this, so actually you have to use your own initiative when it comes to delivering this unit. However, the assessment guidance does state it requires evidence for all learning outcomes must come from performance in the work environment. This means you cannot simulate this. All learning outcomes in this unit must be assessed using methods appropriate to the candidate's IQA performance, which includes, or this must include, so this key phrase here, must include observations carried out in person, examining products of work, questioning, and direct evidence of this may be supplemented where necessary by discussion, reflective accounts, or witness testimonies. Simulations are not permitted, so that means you must go out into the field to do this unit.